Shalom, this is Amonute Tayac of Piscataway, your friendly neighborhood Shuman, Sophia Spiritualite, the AmaruKhan Miriyam. And I don't know how many research videos y'all getting during this fast, but it's important to document this information because it's flying by so fast. It's just, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so this whole conversation about Kansas City and you know no, let me not start there. A sister sent me a video about that I shared with that man giving his prophecy for the Super Bowl this year. Kansas City versus the 49ers. And in his prophecy, if you watch that video to the end, in that prophecy, he discusses the fact that number one, he doesn't know who's going to win. He discussed the fact that there was another man named Bob something. Lord, what is that man's name? Who had a prophecy from the 70s. So, let me see what his name is. I want to get this story right. We getting this story right. Bob Jones. Bob Jones had a prophecy from the 70s. And in his prophecy from the 70s, he said that when the Chiefs win, the apostolic chiefs will arise. This is going to be a long video. Y'all may as well speed me up to 1.5 speed if you have to. This is going to be long because I have to go through all of this. He gives a prophecy that the apostolic chiefs will arise when the Chiefs win. Okay? And so this guy is like, I know Bob Jones said this, but I'm not sure. That's what this man says. I don't know what his name. He never even said what his name was. But that's what he says in his video. I'm not sure about that. So I go looking for this prophecy of the apostolic chiefs. Well, I shared another video from a church, a little church ministry called the Apostolic Chiefs and the Rod of Aaron. So this is what we have to keep in mind. When the priest was chosen, when Aaron was chosen, he was chosen because they all put down their rods in a certain place. And Aaron's rod is not only the one that budded, but it also produced almonds. It did something extremely supernatural. So as I told y'all, this Super Bowl is literally the Chiefs trying to do something supernatural to the 49ers. They're trying to go out of the designated order of how things are supposed to go. Tons and tons of proof of that now, for sure. This is what they're trying to do on a spiritual level. So it is imperative that we put our energy behind the 49ers. Like, by the end of this video, you'll be convinced, because I'm certainly convinced. So, another thing, if you listen to that Apostolic Chiefs video, which I highly recommend, everything that they said was going to happen, they're just 3 years behind. It's getting ready to happen now. Everything. I don't want to go into it because in this video it'll be 2 hours, but I'm just saying everything that they were discussing, that video is from 2020. The first one, the guy with the Super Bowl thing, that video was from yesterday. The other video, the Vegas Super Bowl prophecy and prophetic word, that is from yesterday. Okay, 93,000 views in one day. Okay. The other video, way more valuable information in this one, Apostolic Chiefs and the Rod of Aaron, was from 3 years ago, and it's got 46 views. Way more important information. I'm going to be cycling through that one again. That's how important, just the way that they put it all together. It's just, they were 2 years 3 years early. So basically, here's what we have. We have a redo. This is our chance to exit out of the doom loop. I have been talking about the doom loop. Y'all know I've been talking about the doom loop. I told y'all how they did it. I told y'all why they did it. Now here is the trick. This is what they did it with. In 2020, the 49ers was supposed to win. The daughters was supposed to win. And what did they do? They forced the daughters into losing. And then as a result of the daughters losing, the election was whatever, everything went into chaos. Oh, actually, everything closed down. It was a big, giant disaster, mess after that point, right? Actually, everything shut down after that because, well, Florida, anyway, that's neither here nor there. They got through that ritual before they did the 2 weeks to slow the spread. Just, pointing that out in 2020. So, the title of this video is Kansas City Chiefs, Hosts of the Osage Rituals. Now, this conversation came about once I watched this video on the prophecy. I watched this video on the apostolic chiefs. Now remember, before I even go into apostolic chiefs, the term apostolic just means messenger. These whoever Indians, Osages, Hopis, all of them, they're pretending to be us, right? They're pretending to be the messengers of God. They are not the messengers. They're cosplaying, they're LARPing as the messengers of God. And so now they use this football thing as a way to get their ritual out and to continue on with their stuff. Now, every team is, I don't even want to go into all, let me just focus on this right here. I got some unbelievable information y'all are not going to believe. And normally I would have done this as a video where I went to all the pages, but I have too much research. I'm afraid that it's going to take too long as it is. So, all right. First, we wanted to know who were the native tribes of Kansas City, of that area. So, the native tribe is the Osage. Now, in 1819, the Osage lived on the land. Okay? In 1819, Congress... Oh, no. I hate when that happens. Sorry. In 1819, Congress paid $10,000 to missionaries to civilize the indigenous people of that area. And the first thing they did to civilize the quote-unquote indigenous people of that area is they put the children into schools. Typical Jesuit, this is how they do it. They separated the native children from their cultural identities with the boarding schools. Later, sovereignty was imposed. Now, some people use that term sovereign. I do not. I told y'all a long time ago, they tried to call me a sovereign citizen. I said, how can you be sovereign when you're indigenous? They don't go together, okay? I never said that I'm sovereign. I never said I'm a sovereign citizen. I am not sovereign, and I am not a sovereign citizen. I serve at the pleasure of my father and my mother. How can I be sovereign? That doesn't make any sense. And so it was the government that introduced that concept of sovereignty. And why did they do that? So they could get leaders appointed. So remember, I told y'all, Tammany was appointed. My theory about Tammany was that he came over here with the quote-unquote William Penn settlers, right? And because he was the same color, copper color, just like the people they were encountering, they called him the chief. The other people didn't know what was going on because they didn't function the way that these, phony, Europeans functioned. They thought, oh, okay, he's a chief. All right, that sounds good to me. We don't know him, but we know our people. We respect the titles of our people. That's what we do. Just like when Judah and them went to Pharaoh and Pharaoh was their brother, they would still call him Pharaoh, my lord, whatever. They used the appropriate titles. It was my theory back then, way back in November, October, that that title was put on Tammany from the people he came with, not from the people who were here. And here you have a proof of that. Our people didn't do sovereignty. Sovereignty is a hoax. That's why they want to label everybody sovereign citizens. Because that is a title, that is a position that they can put a leader in place. We don't need no leaders. We got a leader. We follow what the mother and the father tell us to do. We don't need no separate leader giving us instructions on how to be. That's why we don't need no groups, because we don't have no leaders. We follow the instructions we're given. Some people are given similar instructions. You group together, not in tribes, but in clans. That's how we operate. So that term tribe is also a tribe, a name a word I'm going to stop using, just like I'm going to stop using the term sovereign. It's removed from my vocabulary. We ain't using them terms because those terms were given to us by the quote unquote colonizers, by our enemies gave us those terms. We never functioned like that. Okay? The Osage people were run into Oklahoma. Like Tulsa, Oklahoma. Clans, not tribes, clans. What is the difference between a clan and a tribe? A tribe is a political organization. A clan is a spiritual group of people who come together for a common cause. Okay? That's the difference between a tribe and a clan. The clans were responsible for different parts of ceremonies. So when they split the children up, sent them to these boarding schools, took away their culture, then they didn't have the people necessary to perform certain rituals. So they ended up having to give up certain ceremonies. This is how they destroyed our people. They separated us from our children, taught them these whatever ways, and then our native stuff, our indigenous stuff was lost. This is how they removed, because I was wondering, how did they do this to our people? This is how they took the children. The same thing they're doing now when people willingly send their kids to school and they don't even look in on what they're doing. They're not involved. Okay? So the clans were responsible. That's why they also try to Ku Klux Klan. Y'all, I'm done. Oh my freaking goodness. They took our term. Okay. All right. Let's just keep moving. Clans were responsible for different parts of the ceremony based on where they lived. So when they moved, that was lost. Because what happened was when they did the Louisiana Purchase, they bought this land with these people on it, right? And so the people never agreed to this. And so they started to fight back, which is natural. That's when the government send these missionaries in to colonize them, and they just start destroying everybody from the kids up. And then they force them to migrate. This is why our people are everywhere. You don't know who is who. When the Hebrew Rose of Jericho said some of our people came from Africa, some of our people were here, some of them were there, a little bit here, a little bit. That's true. Because they kept forcing us to move. Every time we got somewhere, we made it flourish, they kicked us off and took it over as if they could maintain it. And then they couldn't maintain it. They destroyed it. Then they came where we were next, kicked us off and took it over. What is gentrification? Is that not what gentrification is? They cornered us into the hoods. We made the hoods flourish. Now they're all moving in the hoods. This is what, ley lines or no ley lines, wherever we are, things flourish. This is what they do. They come in and they take over. They do this all the time. Okay. I mentioned Tulsa because the Osage people were running to Tulsa. Now, y'all not going to believe this. This is another section, okay? One of the last remaining Tulsa race riot survivors died at 102 on October the 9th, 2023. This was just a few months ago. So there's only 2 survivors left. This one, his name was Uncle Red. Okay? Now, we can make a lot of... in Revelation, doesn't it say 2 witnesses will lie dead in the streets for 3 days? Anyway. So also, this is tied to a movie that came out last year on October the 20th. So 10 days later, basically, of 2023. The name of the movie was Killers of the Flower Moon. Hold on, let me look. When was the hold on. When was the moons? Hold on, because it was 10 days. Let's just take a look. This is why I did this on this device, so that I could look. Okay, so the 9th of October was a waning crescent. And remember, when it's waning, that's when you want to get rid of something. You kill them. You remove what it is you want to remove as the moon decreases. And then they have this movie come out on the 20th, which is a first quarter moon, which is increasing. It's called Killers of the Flower Moon. Now remember, the flower moon is in May. That's Ishel. We had a whole thing with her. That's the quote unquote Mexican goddess, right? Ishel. Ixchel. Okay? This movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, was released on October the 20th, 2023. Now we're just talking about a few months ago, and they did this on the increase of the moon. I might have to refer back to these notes. This is on, this is the first quarter. So they killed off the the Tulsa man, probably in Osage, more than likely, with the waning crescent. And then they brought in this Killers of the Flower Moon on the first quarter moon, which is increasing. Some of y'all may have seen this movie. I don't pay attention to movies like that. The movie was 206 minutes long. So that's an 8. So, they're trying to tap into this 8 energy. The budget was $200 million, but the box office, it only made $156 million. Listen to this. The stars of this movie was Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Lily Gladstone. These are huge actors. And listen to what the movie is about. The movie is about a series of murders of the Osage after oil was found on tribal land. This movie takes place in the 1920s. Now, you may say, oh yeah, that movie made a lot of money. The movie cost $200 million, right? The box office was $156 million. So they was off by a little more than $40 million. $45 million. $44 million they was off. Now remember, The Color Purple cost between $90 and $100 million to produce. In the box office, it made $62.4 million. So this movie was about $38 million off. And they called Color Purple a flop, even though they only spent $100 million on it. But they called Killers of the Flower Moon a great success, even though it lost more money than The Color Purple did based on how much was spent. This is what they do to our people. You would never notice if you didn't go back and look at the numbers. Because I was like, wait a minute, let me look at The Color Purple. Didn't they say it made more money than that? Yeah, Color Purple actually bought more of a return on their investment than the Killers of the Flower Moon. But the Killers of the Flower Moon, Leonardo DiCaprio, nobody's blacklisting him. Nobody's blacklisting Robert De Niro. But they're going to blame 38 million laws on Taraji P. Henson alone, when you had a $45 million loss and nobody gets blamed. Leonardo, they just they just wipe it away like it never happened. So just to say, these people are always looking for ways to punish our people, blame stuff on our people when they do stuff, because this is a part of their ritual. Now, let's get to the Super Bowl. So remember now, you have the Osage people that are tied to Kansas City. Now, you've moved these Osage people everywhere, right? You moved them all around. Now, they didn't necessarily get along with the it's a lot of stuff, because you know what, I realized that they just kept doing so much different infiltration. We can only see it because of the internet, but with the absence of the internet, you can't see they was infiltrating everybody, fighting everybody, saying everybody was everybody else, and doing their thing just like they did on January the 6th. Oh, this one is a Trump supporter, that one's a Trump supporter. We ain't never look at their Facebook. They've never been to no Trump stuff. Their hat has creases on it. Their flags have creases on them. Can't you tell these people have never looked? They look just like the Antifa people who were here a few weeks ago. No, y'all are crazy. This is what they do. They have a history of this. And since we know Satan cannot do anything new, he must run the same plays over and over and over again. This is why y'all can't be emotional when we talk about politics, because it's about finding this kind of information and being able to put it together without y'all cussing me out, because I know how to read the lay of the land. I can see it. That's what I can do. I'm a literal seer. I can literally see it. I know people can't see it. I try to explain it the best that I can based on the information that I have. All right. So you have this movie, The Killers of the Flower Moon. And if you've seen the movie, please let us know in the chat what the movie was like. So they're trying to increase the Killers of the Flower Moon. Okay, that's what that is. The Killers of the Flower Moon came out in the first quarter when the moon is increasing. Their goal was to increase the Killers of the Flower Moon. It was released on the 20th, which the moon was the full moon was about 8 days away from this. So they released it 8 days before the full moon. They released it, was there another 8? This was 7 days into the moon cycle. It was released on October the 20th. I thought I saw another 8. I don't remember. All right. I'm not gonna focus on that. But remember, this is about, okay, so these murders that happened, right? What was happening was the Osage had been given this tribal land in Oklahoma. Mind you, the budget of $200 million was the most ever spent on a movie in Oklahoma. So this was a huge investment that I would, if they call The Color Purple a flop, I will call this a flop as well. I mean, I don't know how else you can put it. So in the 1920s, they discovered all. Now, remember, in real life, the Osage was in Kansas. They pushed them out of Kansas, off of their homeland, into Oklahoma. Then you have an Oklahoma race riot. So this is all about the same time. These murders take place in this race riot. You have the Oklahoma race riot that takes place in Greenwood, in the Greenwood neighborhood. How much do you want to bet they found oil there? How much do you want to bet they found oil there? And so they firebombed Tulsa so that they could get to the oil. But they didn't realize that these Negroes was not playing with them, because Black Wall Street was about money. So they had money and influence. And so they were able to rebuild what had been stolen and firebombed from them. So that's what they did in Tulsa to try to get access to this oil. On this Osage reservation, they just took to killing people to get them to come off the land so that they could willingly, voluntarily come. See, this is what happened. In Tulsa, those people didn't voluntarily come off the land. You know what they did? They lived in tents where their houses were until they could rebuild all the stuff. This is what they did in Tulsa. It it's crazy. You just hear the story and you're like, you mean it's Oklahoma is cold in the winter? You mean to tell me people was living in tents, living in dirt holes in the ground? They didn't leave. And it's the same thing with this Osage people. They didn't leave when they tried to get them, move them from where they were in Oklahoma. Now remember, yesterday, last night around 1 a.m., they had a 5.1 earthquake right about 50 miles outside of Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma is about to be, it's been marked for judgment, okay, for this whole thing. Kansas City is coming up next, but they're going to hit Kansas City where it hurts. All right, so let's talk about the Super Bowl. Let's get into some mechanics. Now, I never knew I was going to be getting into mechanics of the NFL, but here we are. Let's talk about this first. Let's talk about this one that's coming up next week. Now, remember, now I'm telling y'all right now, I'm going to find out how to place my bet on, who is this? The 49ers. And when I find out, I'll let y'all know. I'm going to work on that this week. We're going to come up with a bet that we're going to place. And I'll tell y'all how to, I'll figure out how to do it, and I'll tell y'all how to do it. I know some states don't allow online betting, whatever. I don't know what. I got to do some research because I never bet on sports games before, and so I don't really know how to do that. So I've got to figure that out. But once I do, I will make a video and show y'all how I place my bet. I don't care. I'm not playing with these people because they're kind of like, now I'm starting to be pissed off. Like, I was already pissed off because, man, they're really trying to destroy the daughter. But then once you hear this stuff, with how they do with these Super Bowls, you're going to be quadruple pissed off, okay? So I will let y'all know how to do that. Just give me a few more days. I gotta actually do some research. Okay, so this Super Bowl coming up, Super Bowl 58. Now, this is a Super Bowl for the 2023 season, even though it's happening in 2024. The national anthem is going to be sung by Reba McEntire. America the Beautiful is going to be sung by Post Malone. Lift Every Voice and Sing is going to be sung by Andra Day. And the halftime show is Usher. Okay? Now, let's go back a little bit. In 2019, Kansas City won the Super Bowl. That would be the 2020 Super Bowl that they were supposed to lose. This was a 50-year, this would have been, the team was brought into the NFL in 1969. So it was their 50 year. We know 50 years a Jubilee year. This was their first Super Bowl in 50 years. And they played it in Miami against the 49ers. The national anthem was sung by Demi Lovato. The halftime show was Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, Bad Bunny, and J Balvin. Now, I remember this because this particular Super Bowl was, people were complaining about it because it was like the Latino Super Bowl. It's like, y'all not having no black people at all? Like, what's up with that? You know, as if like, you just use black people to win your election in 2020, because 2018, this happened in 2019, so 2018. They're trying to get black people to vote for the Democrats in 2020, but they had this whole Super Bowl that was all about the Latinos. So if you remember, it was a lot of salty black folks because there was nobody black in the Super Bowl. And a lot of people tuned out. So this was a Super Bowl that was in 2019 for the 2018 season. Okay? So then, this is Kansas City. This Kansas City played against the 49ers. This is the first one. No. I'm sorry. The Super Bowl was in 2020. Yes, the Super Bowl was in 2020. This was the beginning of the year before the lockdowns. I'm had to keep reminding myself because the way that the Super Bowls are kind of weird. So this one was in 2020, but this was this was the 50 years. Okay, so in 2021, Kansas City came back to the Super Bowl. Okay, they played against Tampa Bay. So this would have been for the 2020 season. They lost huge against Tampa Bay in Tampa. I had just moved to Florida. Me. Okay? I had just moved to Florida when this Super Bowl came on. Matter of fact, I think I found my where I was gonna stay and sign my lease and all that stuff. I was just packing up. I was just literally moving to Florida at that time. That I think I was still traveling back and forth and staying with my sister. Okay, that was in 2021 for the 2020 season. They lost huge against Tampa Bay in Tampa. The national anthem was sung by Eric Church. Jasmine Sullivan sang Lift Every Voice and Sing. The halftime show was The Weeknd. That nut case. Okay? In 2023, for the 2022 season, so that Super Bowl game was in Tampa. It was against Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay made it to the Super Bowl, and then Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. Okay? Which is unheard of. In 2023, for the 2022 season, Kansas City went back to the Super Bowl, this time against the Eagles. This was played in Phoenix, Arizona, and they won. So, as I was thinking about this, because I used to watch, so let me comment on the Redskins now. Now you can see why they didn't want the Redskins. If you're a Redskins fan, you know exactly what I mean. Now you will see why they could never let the Redskins win. Because every time these fake natives saw the Redskins logos, it reminded them that they were fakers. It told everybody, oh, those are the real ones, the real Redskins, and we're the fake ones because our skin is not red. Okay? So instead of leaving my team alone, what they did was they had one person, basically, some old ass lady who forced them to change the name of the team. She was the one who was working on this. She's 76 years old. I can't remember her name. They were supposed to talk with the league of the allegiance of the tribes or whatever when they decided to pick a new name. Instead, the Redskins picked this stupid name, the Commanders. The Redskins only changed their name for this season that's ending right now. That ended in December. This was their first season as the Commanders. And it's going to be their last season because they're going to have to change their name back to the Redskins. They're going to have to give us our glory back. That was our glory. Now, let's talk about the 49ers. Okay, so the 49ers won 5 NFL championships. Super Bowl 16, 19, 23, 24, and 29. 1981, 1984, 1988, 1989, and 1995. The 49ers is called the team of the 80s. Prior to the 80s, they had never won. Oh, and I want to mention this too. Before this winning streak by the who are these people? The Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, before this winning streak, was the Patriots. The Patriots were at every Super Bowl. They won everything. And you see what happened with the quote-unquote Patriots who are quote-unquote in control. This was like, okay, your 49 years of, our 49 years of slavery is over. Now it's time for our Jubilee. Here come the quote-unquote Chiefs. And they're winning, but this stuff ain't going the way they're supposed to because these Chiefs are the fake Chiefs. They're the bloody Chiefs. Again, back to the man that died. His name was Uncle Red. Okay? He was Uncle Red that died from the Tulsa race riot. And you have the bloody Chiefs because they have blood on their hands. Literally and spiritually. Okay, so the 49ers, back to the 49ers. Now remember, they're the team of the 80s. Prior to the 80s, they never won. They failed to make the playoffs only 2 times. In 1982, they're the only team who went 0-5 at home, who literally lost all their home games while winning most of its away games. I think I wrote that down wrong. Now, that's never happened. No other team can say that. That they won all their home games and lost all their away games and lost all their home games. No other team in history. They're the only ones, okay? Now, I was looking at this 1995, so let's bring in the tarot spiral. Remember on my tarot spiral, when I'm tracking the years, it is my assumption, my assertion, that we came into the age of Leo in 1992. So the closest Super Bowl that the 49ers have to 1992, they won in 1995. So in 1995, that was the last Super Bowl that the 49ers won. It was the 49ers versus the Chargers. It was also held in Miami. Now remember, they had the one that was in 2019 against the 49ers in Miami as well. So this is how you know Kansas City was supposed to lose. And it was time for the daughter to take her turn. This is how it works. It was time. It was this. That's how the things were supposed to go. And they doom looped us by forcing the Kansas City Chiefs to win. So in 1995, the national anthem was sang by Kathy Lee Gifford. The halftime show was Tony Bennett, Patti LaBelle, Arturo Sandoval, because this was in Miami, so it had a real, eclectic feel to it. Now listen, guess who was a Hall of Famer? Not the only one, because other ones were. Guess who was one of the Hall of Famers in 1995 for that game? It was Deion Sanders. I think he was playing for the Chargers. No, the 49ers. He was a Hall of Famer. He was playing for the 49ers. Deion Sanders. So this is how Deion ties into all of this, okay? Which is, I was wondering, like, he's playing in Colorado. How does this fit all the way in? Well, he was playing on the team that represented our women the last time that they won. And so by making him have a losing season, they felt like, okay, we're not going to have we're going to also lose this game, which we're not. So I went back to see who was playing for the 1992 season, the Super Bowl. So the 1992 season Super Bowl happened in 1993. This is why we're talking about 1993. This was the Buffalo Bills versus the Dallas Cowboys. The score was 17-52. So 7 versus 8. This was played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. This was in 1993. The national anthem was sung by Garth Brooks. The coin toss was O.J. Simpson. And the halftime show was Michael Jackson. I believe I remember seeing this halftime show. So the reason why they had Michael Jackson is because the previous year, Fox had this special of In Living Color, which I remember. So MJ did the whole entire halftime show. So previous to this, no one superstar had the whole halftime show. They usually split it up between a few, to let everybody have a chance, to be fair, which makes sense. So it was the first time in Super Bowl history, this particular Super Bowl, 1993, that ratings increased between the halftime. It was the most watched halftime show of all time. 9 days after this halftime show, Michael Jackson does his famous interview with Oprah. So this is why Michael Jackson is coming up right now. This is why Oprah's behind is on the chopping block. This is why all this stuff is coming up right now. This is exactly closing out this cycle right here. So I looked up what a Buccaneer means, because when Kansas City lost big. They lost huge. It was against the Buccaneers. And remember, I had just moved to Florida. So the Buccaneers are a privateer or a free sailor. The word bucking comes from Arawak, and it refers to a wooden frame from which Tainos roasted or smoked meat, usually manatee. They called the Buccaneers the Brethren of the Coast. Now, who uses that term, brethren? The coast they're referring to is the Tortuga coast of Haiti and Port Royal in Jamaica. These buccaneers or brethren of the coast were typically French Huguenots, which we know Huguenots are black, and they have a common law heritage. So when the chiefs lost, they lost to our people, our seafaring version of our people. So our men, basically, they lost to our men. So now here they are up against our women again. You know, and this is, you know, getting more and more insane by the day. I wanted to put all this information into the ley line, for one, to say that we have in fact figured out how they code their rituals into these bigger events. Now, they do it in multiple ways, but this is the one that applies to us. Because remember, we're looking from our lens. We look at what everything is going on for everybody, and it's going to mean different things to different people. But for us, we are the ones who are the focus right now. Why? Because we're fasting. Because we're fasting. This is for us to have proof that the Most High and the Mother have chosen us. We want to be the budded rod. We want proof that we say that we're the whatever. We're the daughters of Zion. We're the Hebrews. We're the chosen ones. We're whatever. Whatever we say that we are, we want proof. And what they have decided to do was to try to take away our proof that we were supposed to be given in 2020, that we were who we said we were. They were supposed to happen in 2020. They doom looped us back into this with this ritual that they did. And now we are going to doom loop them because we are going to win. So we will move forward and they will be forced to move backwards. I didn't make the rules. That's what they did to us. There's no way they're going to send us backwards 4 years so we can relive the horrors of the last 4 years when all of that was supposed to be done with, and they get to just walk off scot-free while nothing else happens. That doesn't even make any sense. I don't understand why anybody would agree to that. I'm not agreeing to it. I disagree. I don't want that. And so, that's a lot of information to digest. This is what I've been gathering, this information all day. It's a lot of information to digest. And I'm not even really sure what to make of all of it, but to say, you know, it's not that we have to devote ourselves to all of this stuff, but when something like this comes up, you have to kind of look into it, and you got to dig down and figure out, okay, what's going on, and how are they getting this magic done, and this whole thing. I mean, I have this is 3 pages of notes here, and then I was like going to keep looking into some of this other stuff, but I was like, if I keep looking into this, I'll never finish. You know, it's just so much. So we really have to, you know, focus our energy on what matters. And what matters is these bloody chiefs cannot continue to use our people for their rituals. Period. Enough is enough. How many more of our people are they going to take out to keep their power? That's what concerns me. They're literally willing to make us suffer for the last 4 years when we're supposed to go into our gold. First of all, we're supposed to go into our golden age in 1992. They made us suffer all this extra time from 1992 until now. For what purpose? For absolutely no reason, just so that they can hold on to their power. When we were, this was supposed, look at this Super Bowl in 95, this halftime show. Tony Bennett, immigrant. Patti LaBelle, native. Arturo Sandoval, South native. This would have been a unity bowl. Again, just like this was supposed to be the Naga Bowl and all the Nagas were supposed to come together and be super excited and super happy. That's exactly what was supposed to happen this time. And instead, they turned this into, Lord, they turned this into, trying to doom loop us back into another, 4, 8, 12 years of pure torture. When our brothers, the Buccaneers, already cleared the way for us. They destroyed Kansas City. The score for that game, I think I wrote it down. The score from that game was like 31-3 or something. Like, they got their hind parts handed to them, for real. That was a huge loss. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. It was awful what they did. And so this is the lay of the land. So, like I said, those other videos, I shared them on my page. I don't want to link them because I don't want these people to flag my videos and weird stuff. So you'll have to go to my community page to find those videos that I'm referring to. But I truly believe that this is our opportunity. The mother and the father are inviting us to put our energy to this situation. And even if it's me by myself, which is fine with me, I'm doing it for everybody. I don't care. We deserve better treatment than we've been getting, and the only way we're going to get it is if you stand up and demand it. And it's not like you have to fight or protest or any of that. All you have to do is say no. You need to prove that I'm a child of God. If I'm a child of God, I need proof. I need my budded rod. That's what I am commanding and demanding. It's only right and it's only fair. So I hope everyone understands that. I know it's kind of like out there in terms of how things normally go, how I normally present information, but I just had to do it lecture style because it's just too much. It's just too much. And really it's like 1,000 more things that I want to bring up, and I'm trying not to. So I hope this meets everyone well. If you've seen that movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, if you've seen that movie, please let me know. Let us know in the comments. Think about using that term sovereign at all. Think about that really carefully. Think about using that term tribe. Think about that really carefully. For real. I had already, kind of thought about, I don't like the word tribe. I like band because I'm from DC. I always have go-go music. We have bands. We have go-go bands. And so I had kind of already thought I was going to use the term bands in relation to my little group or whatever that we have, how we help people. And I think I'm leaning more and more towards that. So don't ignore your instincts, man. Your instincts is going to get you far in these next few days. For real. It's really, really important to trust yourself, to know yourself. The point of this fast is for us to be justified in what we do, for us to build self-confidence by saying, I knew this, I knew that. And lo and behold, this stuff comes out of nowhere. I mean, imagine, I never heard about this tribe before. I didn't know they was related to Oklahoma and all of this stuff. It's so much information tied together. So if you're a little overwhelmed with information right now, I am too. But we asked for proof. How much more proof can you get? This is 3 pages of notes. These one video from a day ago, another video from 3 years ago saying exactly what I've been saying. One of the videos was exactly what I have a private conversation I had with somebody word for word yesterday. That was a video that was from 3 years ago. How is that even possible? As the conversation I had yesterday, and that video has 46 views. How is that even possible? I just, it's really hard for me to explain how this stuff happens. Just to say that this is our opportunity to get ahead of the narrative. And this is why nobody had even started talking about prophecies when I made my prediction. Nobody was prophesying nothing about the Super Bowl. And here I go making a prediction. A very specific prediction and with my reason. So they're gonna put some respect on my name. I'm not worried about that. The respect will come. I just need y'all to understand what's going on, and let's stand together, and let's force these people. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, everybody. So, shalom, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.